Well, now, while you're all here for this reason, it's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. Mayor Joseph P. Riley, Jr. is widely considered one of the most visionary and highly effective government leaders in America. First elected in December of 1975, Mayor Riley is serving an unprecedented 10th term in office. Under his leadership, Charleston set the standard for commitment to racial harmony and progress, achieved a substantial decrease in crime, experienced remarkable revitalization of its historic downtown business district, seen the creation and growth of the Spoleto Festival USA, built a beautiful waterfront park, developed nationally acclaimed affordable housing, and experienced unprecedented growth in size and in population. Mayor Riley has led the city government with an impressive record of innovations in public safety, housing, arts, culture, children's issues, the creation of parks and other public spaces, employee services, and programs including outstanding wellness initiatives, and established the Charleston Green Committee, providing leadership for sustainability programs and fostering increased economic revitalization and development. A national leader in the area of urban design and livability issues, Mayor Riley has put Charleston in a national spotlight as an example of high-quality urban design in the City of Charleston, and the City of Charleston is increasingly recognized as one of the most livable and progressive cities in the United States. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to our special guest and keynote speaker, Mayor Joseph P. Riley, Jr.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your very kind introduction. I thank all of you for coming and inviting me today. It's great to be with you. I, remember as a young mayor, and even before that, just as a citizen, in the state legislature, the fact that Charleston's architecture, landscape architecture, engineering community was relatively small. And now it's great to see this room full and with lots of young people, and I get to see your wonderful work in our community, and it's great to have you here in Charleston, and great to be with you. I tell you what, I was asked to talk about these kind of things, and I'm going to talk. The good thing is we all have the same clock to see, so hopefully I won't run on, but I want to stop at an appropriate time to hear from you, your ideas or questions. It would be a missed opportunity for me. And y'all wrap up at 1, is that the goal, James? So I'll keep that in mind too. But I was asked to talk about mayor's involvement in planning and design and the pros and cons of the active role that I've taken, and any thoughts about who would follow me in that regard, and then to talk about some of my thoughts about the future, the design and development of the city. So I'll try to do that. On the first point, I think it's very important that a mayor be heavily involved in the planning and design of his or her city. And that doesn't mean they are supposed to or act like something that they don't have, and that is architectural experience. But rather, a mayor has two constituencies. One, those who vote for him or her and their children, those who are alive, and then those who will be alive 50 and 100 years from now. Because the building of a city is a building for the present and for the future. And so a mayor should feel enormous responsibility. And that responsibility should create worry in a positive way, and nervousness in a positive way about making sure that the very best, wisest, most long-range, positively impactful decisions are made about the design and development of his or her city. For wise decisions can so positively enhance the city in some respects forever, like the waterfront park. That's for everything. And bad decisions can harm the city or create barriers for livability or growth and development. So the mayor should be very interested in that, is one of the top priorities. I created the Mayor's Institute of City Design, or suggested its creation, and founded and started in 1986, but I've been wrestling with this issue for a while. And the background was that early in my tenure, I had the opportunity to take an urban design, all expenses paid trip to England and Germany. My wife got to go with me. I paid her way. It was really a wonderful trip. The German Marshall Fund studied it, and the purpose was for us to look at some examples of successful urban initiatives in countries that have been dealing with that for a longer period of time. It's not that they're smarter than we are. They've just been needing, using, and enhanced by cities for a long, long time. And went with a guy, Jonathan Barnett, who's written a number of books about urban design, and some other people, very interesting folks. And while I was there, because I was relatively new in the job, and America back then, in the 80s, and this was in 78, I think. Back then, you know, there was still certainly a lack of confidence about the success of the American city, and just trying to figure it out. What to do, or what could you do? And so in these towns and cities we studied in Germany and England, I got to see really great things, just in successful cities and neighborhoods. And what I saw was a very substantial investment in the public realm, without apologies. Fine materials, great design, search for excellence, not, you know, worrying about somebody complaining or spending too much money here or there. And so while I was there, I felt bad that I didn't have any mayors with me. I was the only mayor. I mean, so say, look, you know, look at this. Isn't this a great idea? And I felt that the mayors would have benefited so from that. And then in seeing that, I increasingly was coming to grips with the responsibility and power that I had as a mayor to effectuate that. Power, not in a small key word, but authority, because a city, a mayor, usually a complicated development issue comes to his or her desk. A complicated zoning issue comes to her desk, and important planning decisions will come to his or her desk. So you have the ability to effectuate that, and the more complicated it is, the more that you're needed. So to make a long story short, I've been wrestling with that, and then spoke at a conference, University of Virginia, in the mid-'80s, and came up with the idea of city design, which the endowment is funded still now, 26 years later, and about 800 mayors have been through it. And it's very interesting. You can ask any of them. I mean, wherever you ask the mayor. I mean, all over. Ask the mayor of Charlotte, or ask the mayor of Philadelphia, or Chicago, former mayor, or little towns, and about the Mayor's Institute. And they will tell you it's the most important meeting they had during their time as mayor. And we try to get mayors early in their term so that they can be formative. But the reason is because when they get the job, they understand what I just said, that it is an opportunity and a responsibility to shape this city. And mayors are usually, to get elected, you usually have to be smart and a quick study. Maybe I was an exception to that. But so when the mayors are confronted with the challenges and the ideas of what makes a great town or city and the public realm and all of that, they respond very positively. So my hope would be that whoever follows me, and I mean this sincerely, I hope the next mayor is better and smarter and more effective, then I want the city to keep going on a positive track. But it needs to, hopefully it will be somebody that worries about those kinds of things, because you're worrying, and I don't stay awake at night, I mean, but to just feel the pressure, you know, because you make the wrong decision. I mean, this is owned by the public because there was a developer wanted to build a 25-story whatever, and we rezoned it. He sued us, went to federal court, and worked out a deal. But we knew through all that study that this should be in public. This should be part of the public domain. This is the water's edge, and the quarry in the same way, and you know, lots of other examples. So now the future is just wonderfully filled with opportunities. And I'll talk just kind of geographically for a while, and then I really want to hear from you guys and gals. So the Union Pier is a tremendous opportunity. The cruise terminal will be wonderful, a fine public building, and I know there's some nervousness about so much land allocated to parking. That's okay. That's temporary. But in a city, what you worry about is doing wrong things permanently. And there was a wonderful print of Manhattan, probably in the 1870s, I don't know. But it showed the island of Manhattan laid out in its grid, and then what portion of it had been developed yet, and lots of it hadn't, whether it was up to, you know, 75th Street or something, I don't know. But the form of Central Park was laid out. But the fact is that it anticipated further development pursuant to a plan. So the parking, eventually, when all of this area gets redeveloped and the land is valuable, then the port can convert that parking to parking deck and liner buildings and all that. And in the interim, to have a very nice parking lot with appropriately landscaped was a wonderful interim use. Is not preventing anything, and actually the form of the parking areas a good block form, so that will work just fine. And the cruise terminal, we think, will be wonderful, and a modest amount of cruise business, which this will always be, 84 ships this year. So that's, no worry about that change. I mean, the community's never going to let it change. Ports Authority, we've got an agreement. They couldn't do an ordinance. We couldn't do an ordinance. Don't worry about that. It's the building's designed for the appropriate scale of the ships we now have. And then south of that is a most wonderful redevelopment opportunity, which we will all work together, the citizens, which is a very, very important part. A mayor learns from citizens, input, ideas, the passions are all formative in helping you for the community shape the vision for the future, but that will be opportunities for people to live and work. Probably some visitor accommodations. I don't think it should be very much. We keep visitor accommodations in scale and in places in the city where they're contributory, but there will be some down there, and then access the water's edge directly or nearby, just weaving through that area all the way up through past the terminal and all the way up here. You know, we got the wonderful Charlotte Street Park under construction right now, which will be the terminus of that, which is really going to be wonderful. I think that the office building, Young Clement Rivers, putting the office building there was very important around the corner because it I think will be one of many office users up here, and I think the Union Pier will be a great opportunity for business organizations, for law firms, or hedge fund managers. You know, some of that business will be moving here, and the knowledge base industry, great place to build efficient office space, and with all the amenities and water's edge and Charleston, and then some park space in there. That will really be wonderful, and that will take a while. It's okay. It's you want cities to, I mean, modest-sized cities to be developed in pieces. It creates a more digestible and a better form and a better place. Through all of that, attention to the floodplain problem is very important. We've got to work very hard in the design of those buildings to make them be friendly to the pedestrian on the streets. One of the big urban design challenges, we work with the zoning ordinance and you get some benefit. We go up a little bit by activating the street. We really got to do that. And Charleston, probably, more than any city in the country, has to figure that out. And you can't figure it out. It's a matter of good design and devices. The question is, when the human being walks along the street, do they feel nice about it? That's what you got to do. And so that we'll have to pay special attention, and the citizens of the community have to pay special attention to that. Still kind of on the water, we have a wonderful conceptual plans for the International African American Museum, which would be in the grassy plot adjacent to the parking deck overlooking the aquarium, and then the plan to working with the Park Service to redevelop Liberty Park into what we call Arrival Square, and keep probably Concord Street will stay open, but maybe cobble it or something just to slow it down and have all that flow together. And I think with that, and then the aquarium and the Fort Sumter tour boat facility, and enhanced Liberty Square, a really more wonderful civic space along the water's edge. Then Upper King Street and Upper Meeting Street, and great opportunities for more people to live. I think the Gray Star development at Spring and Meeting is a real game changer. New residential housing, and the people are, Time Magazine a few weeks ago had, the new ideas, great ideas, things that are happening. One is the fact that there are more people living alone. Not saying we want everybody to live alone, but but in our population, and that's a natural urban resident, in addition to those with families or young people starting out. And I think that with all that's happened on Upper King Street and all that's going on in the peninsula, and I think that we are culturally, a bit more interested in that experience, that we will see much more of that. The other development at UG and Meeting will have new residential going up there and some visitor accommodation in time as well. And then the People Matter with their building on Upper King Street. I think we work on a digital corridor, and some of that will be here. More of the knowledge-based industry and economy up there. So really very vibrant and increasingly eclectic space. And then I left a meeting of the Horizon Foundation Board to come here, and that's the area from Spring to Fishburne, Haygood to Lockwood, where the Marriott is and the police station, but most of that is surface land, parking, and whatever. And so we've been working with the Medical University of South Carolina Research Authority on the redevelopment of that. There's a very dense, very nice plan, some new streets cut through there, and all of that, but a very densely occupied live-work neighborhood, up to 2 million square feet potentially. And we've done the plan and the zoning for it, and this is a 20-plus year plan, but place for the biotech, life science businesses that spinning and will spin out from the Medical University's research. People who would want to live there because living there would be very nice. You got the water and you got the peninsula, or your connection with the Medical University as a researcher or a resident or a faculty member or whatever, and then the wonderful neighborhood that it's a part of, Hampton Park and Wagner Terrace and all of that. And so that's something that will take a long time and will be done piece by piece, but another great opportunity for the city. And then and I hope I got to get this done in the next 3 years. A lot of things I got to do in the next 3 years. A lot. And one is to continue the Riverwalk, which is now Lockwood, and then you go kind of through the marina, then you kind of can get around under the bridge. We've got the easements in front of the new hotel that's going on there by the Ashley Marina, and then the Marriott, and then to take that under the Ashley River Bridge. And that's been schematically designed. What we'll do is you've got to go out a little bit because those bridges are low slung, but you'll go out, and part of it will be floating pier system. And then we own the public access to the Bristol Marina. So that is public, so you'll come on to the Bristol Marina and then wrap on to Brittlebank Park. And then with the Ashley River crossing, which we're committed to do, getting you converting one of the lanes of the Ashley River Bridge to pedestrian, which then connects with the 10-mile West Ashley Greenway, 3.1 miles of which we let a contract last night to put appropriate paving in. But that waterfront connection will really be wonderful. It'll just tie everything together. And in the non-peninsula parts of the city, great opportunities there. Along Savannah will be wonderful. That will take many years to build out, but a huge park system is a part of that, and a really wonderful, most natural urban growth boundaries. I keep forgetting the number, but it's like 1,300 acres of park right there, backing up to Rantles Creek and all that. That just, urban growth boundary is very good on a line, on a map, but it is even more wonderful when it's physical. So you have a natural ending to the suburban growth west of the Ashley, and then one will be the largest county park, and then the city will have a municipal park right adjacent to that, and all of that with bike ped and live work and very good new urbanism concepts there. And so I could go on for a long time, but why don't I stop right there, and then I'll have a chance to hear from y'all, and probably your questions will be on subjects I can talk about at some length too. Who's got a question, comment, observation?
I never missed the opportunity to say anything. First of all, thank you for your service. We are so proud of you, and everywhere time I go, oh, you're from Charleston, or you have to hear Riley. I don't know what we're going to do without you. But I want to know what's next. What are your plans aside on the golf course Sunday? I hope you're going to relax some, but after are you going to continue to work with mayors and what's your plan?
Gretchen, I haven't figured that out. I certainly, first of all, we can't presume longevity or health, but I'm healthy, and so if I live a long time, I want to stay active, and I love this field, so if I could, one thing I know I wouldn't want to do is any kind of national consulting on any kind of scale, because I love my wife and I love being home and all of that, but I would have to, want to be involved in planning and development and design and things like that. Who else? I know you got plenty of questions. One thing I should have mentioned was our continued commitment to affordable housing. That's a very important part of the long-range plan of development of the city, to work hard, and you've got to work harder when things are going well, because you want to, great cities are diverse places. It's the just thing to do, but we all, we like a city better when in the process of living in it or visiting it, we are engaged with all of society in one way or another, to work with, and so we keep in our work, and we've got, a workforce housing requirement, so that part of the Gray Star apartments will be workforce housing, which is housing affordable for those at 120% median income, and they will all be integrated in. There won't be one floor for workforce housing, and Gray Star knows how to do that, and most good developers are doing that around the country now. And then whether it's stuff that we own, or develop, work with the Housing Authority, but to make sure that we continue to have a diverse occupation of the city. Who's got the next question? Yeah.
Mayor, I might be a bomb, but I was wondering if you could clarify the progress on the passenger terminal, where that's going, where you see it. Passenger terminal, cruise terminal?
Yeah, what about it?
I was just wondering what the progress is on that, where you see it going.
Well, it goes before the BAR for a final in April, and they're designing hard, so sometime later on this year construction should begin, and I think that's a slightly more than a year construction project. So let's say maybe a year and a half from now. I actually talked to Jim Newsom today just about some other things, but things are on track, and hopefully there won't be another lawsuit, but we're not worried about it. It'd really be a great thing, and to start redeveloping that other stretch of the water, and then and we don't tout this as a reason to support it, but that will be a wonderful venue, in addition to being a great cruise terminal, because there'll be lots of times when the ships aren't here, and the spot is gorgeous because it's right down here, and it's right, the current terminal is across from Castle Pinckney, and but this is you're right at the head of the channel, and then it's elevated, just I guess in building that terminal, so it's just even from the deck, it's a really special view, and then there'll be an elevated part, so it'd be a wonderful place for community events when the ships aren't here, and and more opportunities for the citizens to have this. Just one of the most beautiful harbors in the world, and a chance to see it and enjoy it. We have, I'll take this question, we have employee breakfasts here. Quarterly, we recognize employees for special service or for tenure, sanitation workers or department heads, everything in between. And it's so nice for them to come to a place they own, a public place, and usually the mornings are beautiful in Charleston to walk out there and see that. Yeah.
Mayor, I was following up on your reference to the joint article about the increase in the size of the home. Do you think that there's any way that the city would look at the densification of residential properties in some way? The zoning number that we use right now is very old, yet this movement towards much smaller properties is fairly new. And when you go for a variance, everybody's against it.
Yeah.
But if the city were to take some leadership on decreasing the size, that would go a long way to help the projects.
Yeah, I really think we should. You know, and I was actually thinking today, in the brief time I had to think about this, just one of those crazy days, that one thing that I don't think we were correct about that can be changed is a number of years ago we're really hot to try to looking at the zoning in the suburbs, and in large commercial areas they had the 3X zoning, which isn't a good zoning, 3 times the distance to the street, but would have allowed extremely tall buildings, which would have not made any sense. But on the other hand, so we might have limited it to 50 feet, but I think that probably in appropriate circumstances in suburban areas appropriate where the land organization works, to have some taller residential structures would be a better idea, because it's more sustainable. And the fact that we need to better understand the importance of having people live nearer to each other and nearer to places that they would go and all that. So I think that Richard, what you suggest along those, is along those same kind of lines. It's a more sustainable, greener thing to do, and it's more in keeping with what people want. The units up there on UG Street are going to be quite small, and that's whatever the zoning was, it allows for that. But and still there'll be lots of demand for substantial houses with lots of square feet for large families or for people who want that. But I think we should look into that. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob, I'd like to first echo Gretchen's comments about the service. I know all of us really appreciate that. But the popularity of Second Sunday is just unquestionable.
Yeah.
People really enjoy the fact that they can come and sort of promenade, which used to be a tradition in Charleston, and elsewhere. Has there been any thought about maybe rethinking some of the streetscaping to make that experience even more comfortable and more appropriate? I know we've just gone through a heavy...
Permanent streetscaping or just on the day?
Perhaps permanent, but not pedestrianizing it, but perhaps making some strategy about how you handle the surfacing and what have you on that King Street.
No, but it's a good idea. Thank you. As usual, you're ahead of me, but it is wonderful how popular and successful it is, and does give you a chance to look at the landscape. So thank you. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Are there any parts of extending it further up, King?
Not yet. There a lot of logistical issues, and just the fact that you've got a lot of things still going on, even on a Sunday. People living up there and other stuff, and then getting around and all of that. And so far, and then the thought is that even Upper King Street benefits just from more people coming down, and so it seems we don't see that right now, but it might be if it gets so hot, we could move it up a ways. But it works very nicely with the section we have now. There were some more hands. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your service. I'm Joellen Rogers, and I have the unfortunate commute of Somerville to Mount Pleasant every day. And I was just wondering if there was any hopes of light rail, commuter, hovercraft, I don't know.
What was the last one?
Hovercraft, airplanes, helicopters.
Well, we are working on the concept of commuter rail, more than the concept. There is currently the last kind of planning part, which is the analysis you have to go through to qualify for federal funds, and that is the feasibility of it as opposed to other things. So they have to study the cost of commuter rail versus the cost of widening the interstate. We know the answer what that will be. And then, the cost of commuter rail versus some rubber wheel rapid transit solution. But we think that commuter rail will be seen to be feasible, and then a lot of money will have to be found. But it's and maybe some portions of light rail. The light rail is like 10 or so times more expensive. It's just a whole different scale, because with light rail you have to have separate rights of way and separate infrastructure, all of which is very expensive. And then you've got to have a whole lot of users to make it anything close to being cost effective. So that is probably maybe a generation plus away, I would think. But with commuter rail, you use the existing infrastructure. In this instance, it's Norfolk Southern's line. You have to buy a little bit to pull off, and you build a few modest stations. They don't have to be, big, so that it's much less expensive. And then you just operate it during the commuter times, so it's costs less to operate. And so that's something that we're pushing real hard on, and hopefully it works. And then we'll have to, like $100 million, so it's not a cheap deal, have to, go find the money. But I do think that for this community not to be working on that would be wrong, because there will be, more people will be living along that corridor, and it will certainly, and then the gasoline is not going to get cheaper and all that. So it's a very relaxing prospect to be able to get in the train for 35 minutes and go to work rather than the alternative. Yeah.
I guess along the same lines, talking about, obviously you're the mayor of Charleston.
I'm acting so odd because with the glare, y'all can see me real good, but I can then, with my hearing loss, I've got to make sure I got a good sight on someone.
Obviously the mayor of Charleston, you're just one of many municipalities that kind of make up our area. You talked about earlier about how Charleston's looking at urban growth boundaries and more densification. What do you think about the area, the greater Charleston area, and how that urbanization is kind of playing out? What, Charleston's role is in that?
And a number of people here have worked hard on the regional planning process, which is going forward, and I think that will prove to be very constructive for other cities and parts of the area. The fact is that we must vigorously protect the quality of life here and protect our physical environment, all components of that, the air, the scale, the texture, the sense of place, and all of that. And so I think that why I urged the regional planning process when I was head of the Council of Governments was to just encourage the citizens of the community with their elected leaders to really thinking about that, because we can harm it if we're not careful. Growth doesn't have to harm if it's planned and well thought out. So that's something that I expect that the community will continue to work on. It's very important.
Mayor Ross, I've got one more question. I'm a past president, but I'm asking this question as a younger architect in our closing minutes. We've taken a big hit with the economy, as many industries have, but we talk a lot in national circles about being a civic architect, and you represent, that to quintessential nature for many of us. Could you just offer in your closing comments some encouragement to the younger architects in the room about how wonderful it is with our training and background to becoming a civic architect over our tenure, and how much we can contribute to the city? Do we play a special role compared to other professions in that regard?
Well, it's a wonderful profession that you have, and one that I admire greatly, and one for which I have no talent. I can't draw a thing, So working with architects has always been so thrilling for me to see that artistry and capacity. And, when I was in high school, I worked for a construction company, which I really liked, and I worked with a mason, African-American man, and I carried his mortar bucket and helped him. And I asked him one time how he liked his work, and he said he really loved it because he got to build things that would last a long time. And that's the wonderful profession that you have, and certainly working in the public realm, and usually your buildings enhance the public realm. They form a neighborhood or a city street, or create impressions on people. If it's done very well, it gives them a sense of optimism and joy and inspiration that beauty gives, and so much more. And so it's a wonderful profession to have, and I think in a community that has a national reputation for it, and that I told Andres Duani once, I didn't see him when he was here this week, that he had been a great mentor, a great teacher for me. I mean, I never studied with him, but I've been at meetings and all like that, and read his stuff and Liz stuff, and he said, "No, Joe," he said, "you've had the best teacher." I said, "Oh yeah, who is that?" And he said, "Your city." And that's true. This city is the best teacher of all. It's why I worked very hard to get Clemson to bring a program here, and worked hard to get the land, which we gave to Clemson, and worked hard to get them to buy the land on Meeting Street and all of that, because I wanted those who study architecture in South Carolina, for many of them to have as a part of their educational experience to be taught by this city, to be studying here and working here. You can't walk, you can't bike, you can't live in this city without it teaching you. So you're all so lucky to be in the profession that you have, and times will get better, and the city will grow, and y'all going to have plenty of work to do. You'll make the city a much more beautiful place. Thank you very much.
Here today. We just want to say thank you for your leadership, and thank you for just making this such a wonderful city for us to live and practice architecture in. It's great. So thank you. And thank you again for all of our sponsors today who made this event possible. This concludes our meeting, unless Steve has one final comment. Money. Steve wants your money on the way out the door. So.
If anybody has their credit cards filled out, I would like to leave them with
Thank you.